You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello, and yes, you are listening to Orange County's longest running business talk show, and I am your host, Rick Franzi, and boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because our guest is Robert Riggs. He is the president of Oralogix. Robert, welcome to the program.
Hey, Rick. Morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's get right into it by asking you to kind of take us back in time and discuss the original motivation or inspiration you had.
That's fair. I suppose probably a little backstory wouldn't hurt. Sort of set up, what we observed. I have a couple of partners. We sort of observed that healthcare in general was becoming consumerized. I think that's probably a fair observation across the board. People are getting involved with their own bodies. They just sort of know what their own responsibility is for their own wellness moving forward. And probably the most important thing, Rick, is they're starting to expect the same conveniences and sensibilities that they make some other purchase decisions with. Is that fair? I mean, I would think that that's a general observation across the board. I don't think that we have any corner on cleverness or observation.
Okay.
So really what we did is we took sort of the provider and consumer lens here, because I don't think that we could launch a business without sort of looking at that. The consumers, really, they're the buyers of this discretionary care. They really place what we saw as considerable value on what they see in the mirror. When they brush their teeth in the morning, they may go to the bathroom, comb their hair, or put makeup on at night, get ready to go for dinner. Rick, elbows and toes are important, but really they don't communicate who we are inside. They don't, they're not held to the same scrutiny or judged by others. They don't need to give off the look of youth and vitality. Right. I mean, what people obsess about is the face, the head, the neck, the mouth. That's the area that we've come to love and call the social zone. So the social zone, I think, or we think, it's more than just a way to, sum of body parts. We really think it's a new segment strategy moving forward for lifestyle care and healthcare consumers moving forward. Now, on the provider side, we also had some observations too, is that they tend to operate in silos. They can get focused on their specific training, med school, postdoc training, or their more narrow scope of care. And what happens is they can miss opportunities to think more holistically that way. Again, that's just our observation. You can agree or disagree, but I think that's what we took away from sort of our market research.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense.
What we thought to do, and I think we all can know, because we all operate as amateur chefs in the kitchen, we all like cookbooks and frameworks and things to follow. So really what we thought is if we gave them, these clinicians, a platform where they could actually think holistically, it's kind of a guidance, it'd be easier for them to put in practice every day, kind of the muscle memory thing. They don't have to dig deep and say, well, how do I now consider this whole area when I'm really only focused on this procedure? Well, if they had some form of a framework that helps them guide in everyday practice, they would use it. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Did you have a background in healthcare previous to being a
founder? I started in a clinical capacity as a lab tech many years ago. So I got to see the laboratory operations as well as clinical operations, and we became confidants and consultants to private practice. I have around 25 plus years in working with a variety of healthcare providers.
And your partners, your co-founders, were they in this space as well?
The same longevity. One is an attorney and the other is a tech what I call him my tech guru. He's sort of the CIO. But we together sort of had all of these observations and beliefs, and we mashed that all together, and that was the motivation, so to speak, for Full Face Fitness. And I know we discussed that a little bit on a couple of occasions before too.
Yes. And we're going to explore more about what Oralogix is doing today. But before we get there, I'm wondering, I love to have founders on the show because many times we spend a lot of time I'm a founder of my company as well. Spend a lot of time planning, but until you're in the game, until you're actually talking with clients and prospects and etc., there's things you don't know about what you don't know. I'm wondering, were there any early pivots in Oralogix? Did the business model prove to be what you thought it was going to be? Take me back to those earlier times, and what did you learn from doing at the inception of the business?
Sure. Well, Oralogix started as a niche consulting business. It really wasn't. It was like Oralogix 1.0.
Okay.
We're now, I don't know what number we're on. But like consulting firms do, they're plagued with one thing, and that's really they trade dollars for time for dollars, and billable hours, and it was also risky. And this is all the consultants out there will, the founders will kind of know this, is that a lot of the early businesses are built on the expertise of the founder.
Right.
Yes. So that places some risk, there. And many are content to live that risk and do the billable hours. We started to think differently. So, what we did, is like we pivoted into being a value-added reseller. That now, one based on a core principle and, supporting processes, not the founder. So this migration eliminates the time for dollars dilemma, and then the problem of being valued based on the founder's personal experience. So what this can do is it allows us to scale, and it allows us to operate in maybe a post-founder environment, because there will be a post-founder environment someday.
Let's hope, right? That's the plan. So hopefully you build an entity that outlives you as long as at least as you are in the business. Okay, so now you sort of teased us a little bit. Let's talk about the Oralogix business model. What is it that you do today? What problems are you solving? Who are you helping? And why are they choosing to do business with your team?
Sure. Compound question, right? You need to ask some easier ones. Well, simply put, we're a VAR, a value-added reseller. We offer products and solutions to healthcare providers. That's sort of known. We talked about that just a minute ago. We focus on clinical solutions for what we call the social zone. Really, that's a new product market segmentation. Social zone, as you know, head, face, mouth, neck. This wider canvas, really allows us to go beyond a single segment call point and a single segment market potential into a variety of practice types, because there are a lot of clinicians that offer services in the social zone, from dentists to plastic surgeons to derms to med spas. There are many out there. So that really opens up the market potential for the company. Agreed?
Yeah. When you say you're a value-added reseller, can you give my audience a sense for the type of products that you're representing and who are you selling to?
Of course. Well, these are clinical products used in practice by the physicians that may occupy the social zone. So we have products for dentists. We have traditional products for dentists. We have traditional products for med spas and dermatology. We don't expect a dentist to offer services outside of dentistry. Maybe some do. They'll dabble, and vice versa in the others. But we are wanting them to consider the holism and the holisticness of the entire zone. So as we talked about before, they may be doing a small procedure. However, that doesn't mean they have to think small. If they think harmony and balance of the entire zone, chances are the treatment of the small independent area will be better. That's what our research indicated. So what we have here, at this point, is we've got the overlying principle of full face fitness, and then we have the defined area of the social zone, and then we've got products that support really two areas. One is facilitating growth, and then the other is mitigating risk. So we're principled. We've got a focused area, and we have product definitions of where we'll go. So everything we evaluate must satisfy one or both of those buckets. They either facilitate a practice growth or they mitigate a practice risk.
So I'm interested on the other side of the business, the companies, the manufacturers that you're partnering with, that you're reselling their products from. When you approach them and explain your business model, how has that been received by those potential partners of yours?
It's been received quite well. First, they're intrigued about the new segmentation. They've never heard anything like that before. Personally, I think that's 10 or 12 years overdue. But they are originally intrigued, but then they continue to stay with us because they know that we're building on processes and principles. This is not just a whim. It's a very structured company. Like I said, we have an in-house counsel. We have a lot of experience in brand and product management and product launch, and a technology expert. So we've got key individuals in the right places, even for a company that's in its first chapter. We have many years of experience. If you add it together, I don't know how old that is, but it's probably be a centenarian maybe.
Okay.
For one person.
So I guess I want to kind of look a little bit more at the business before we move on. Then you're here with me in Southern California, in Orange County in particular. What is your market address? Are you in Southern California? Are you reaching outside of Southern California? Talk to me a little bit about where your market is.
Of course, we're headquartered in Laguna Beach, California, not far from either one of us right now. And then we will have a national sales force. We've got a very novel sales organization under development. Perhaps that's for a topic for another show, because that's another innovation that we hope to bring to market. One that was inspired and that I learned from being a healthcare franchisee in a former life. So I have understanding of the franchise operating systems and how to bring about and grow franchises through franchising. So again, we could talk about that, but we're going to build a national base of independent owner operators, very much like what I had when I was on the other side.
Interesting. So you're a value-added reseller that's looking to use a franchise model to propagate markets outside of your home market here in Southern California.
Correct.
Yeah, you are bringing an innovation to this space. That's very interesting, Robert, president of Oralogix. I'm wondering if we move past the immediacy of here and now in your firm, if you can think about a piece of business advice that you had received sometime in your career, or maybe a piece of advice that you offer to others. Is there something that you could share with my audience today?
There have been many. I mean, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and we're not islands, and we're a product of who we affiliate with. Probably one that reoccurs to me, and I tell it at any time anybody will ask, is sort of adopt the blue ocean mindset. And I think maybe a lot of us have read Blue Ocean Strategy. There's a book, out there, which really tells us to avoid competing against entrenched brands on their terms, and instead to aggressively pursue differentiation, contrast, whenever possible. You kind of work to create and lead these uncontested spaces. And what happens is competition really becomes irrelevant because you're selling something else, because you put distance between the competitors and yourself. So you're truly novel. And, we think that that's what we've tried to do here with Oralogix. We've kind of pulled that wisdom and put it in practice.
That's excellent. I see that John Pratt has commented off of YouTube that, in his opinion, you've always been cutting edge, Robert. So thank you, John, for participating and listening and actively participating and commenting on the show. We love that when listeners do that. So fantastic. Let's talk about artificial intelligence. Since you are on a leading edge and you are innovative, I'm wondering from your perspective, how do you see artificial intelligence impacting your industry or maybe playing a role in the development of your company? Just give me a sense for how you and your team are looking at the technology of artificial intelligence.
Well, that AI has certainly made its way into medtech. We have AI enhanced radiographs. We have diagnostic software that will provide second opinions. We've got fabrication machines that learn with each successive batch or run. But to be honest with you, I really think that we're sort of in the era of AI/HO. And I like to say that's human oversight.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever percentage, I'm not sure. Maybe it varies based on the application. But look, someday we can have fully autonomous AI-driven devices. But for now, I think we still need the wisdom of humanity involved.
Mm-hmm.
In some form of oversight. I liken it to some of the stories we see on the news about self-driving cars that get stuck in the middle of an intersection because it encountered something that it hadn't seen before.
Sure.
Had not yet learned, so it stopped. I don't know how many of your audience has ever seen those stories, but I've seen a couple of them.
Sure. Yes. That's in the emerging technology space. There is this learning adoption that happens. And so that's interesting perspective, human oversight. All right. So let's look to tomorrow and talk about the future. What's your vision for Oralogix? And can you share that with my audience?
Sure. Like you said, we learn every day and things change. But I think going back to what we said earlier, these consumer shifts of today are probably going to shape the Oralogix of tomorrow. With more and more people taking responsibility for their own well-being, and as a social zone and full face fitness becomes, builds momentum in the professional landscape. I think it's going to set the stage for, I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain here for what we think is going to be our next chapter or our next page, and that'll be Oralogix Consumer Health. Oralogix Consumer Health, that's OCH, it's easier to say.
Okay.
That's likely to start probably in a post-procedure environment, attached to a physician or a clinician for home care, recovery, that kind of thing. But I believe it'll eventually make its way to unattached consumers in the open market. Stay tuned. We'll see.
Interesting. So you have big plans for the company and the future delivery of services, I take it then, Robert. Yeah.
Yep. I hope that I'm glad you say that because we've spent some time thinking about this, and to be scalable and to be resistant to headwinds. We really have tried.
That's excellent. If someone would like to reach out to you, maybe here on LinkedIn, or learn more about the company online, how do you suggest they do that?
Well, of course. My LinkedIn address is linkedin.com/in/RiggsRobert and with another slash. Or they can just shoot me an email and I'll chat with them at info@oralogix.com. That's ORALOGIX.com.
I take it that's also your website.
Oralogix.com is the website, and we are working on a new one to launch in approximately 30 days.
It's always a journey, isn't it? Building a website and maintaining it. There's always ways to improve it, latest technologies. Well, Robert, I've been excited to have you on the show since we first met, and I look forward to having you back on the show to continue to tell the Oralogix story. So thank you very much for giving your time today and being a part of our program.
Oh, thank you very much, Rick. You have a great one.
So, audience, I want to thank you. Like I said at the top, you've been a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. If you're an Orange County entrepreneur and you have a story to tell and you'd like to tell it here on Critical Mass Business Talk Show, then reach out to me. I'm Rick Franzi on LinkedIn. That's RICFRANZI. Coincidentally, that's also my company's website, rickfranzi.com. And until the next time we have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.